All right, time for Suffolk in the City. Finding a parking spot in Boston can be tough, and we all know it. But now there's a new option. An app allows you to rent a spot. Student reporter Tyler Sullivan joins us live from Suffolk University to tell us how it works. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yeah, Spot's an app where private owners of private spots can rent out their spots for people if they just need to come in the city for a few hours. And I caught up with CEO and founder Braden Golub. Tell me more about the app and how he came up with the idea.
Joining us now from Boston with some tips for those students who are moving in. You're an old hand at this, Tyler, at this moving into the dorm room?
Oh yeah, Brian, and one of those students just happens to be my brother. I took him around the city and gave him some moving tips so it makes moving day an easy and simple process. Good morning. Yeah, I was surprised to be in the minority as a student voter, but that's exactly what I was. So I went around campus to talk to some of my peers and a political expert to see where the student vote went. And fans are heading to Fenway for the earliest game of the season. We'll follow Patriots Day traditions as thousands pack the ballpark and then make their way down to Boylston Street.
Joining us live here in the studio is Suffolk News reporter Tyler Sullivan. Tyler, how was the parade? I hope you wore some green.
It was a lot of fun. I personally didn't wear any green, but there's a lot of green in the streets and a green light for a major group. A major step forward for the city of Boston, but gay and lesbian veterans were not the only ones taking their first of many steps along the parade route on Sunday. Boston's mayor and the state's governor marched supporting gay and lesbian veterans in the parade. The Red Cross held a Watertown Strong blood drive at its local high school this week leading up to the marathon. MBTA transit officer Dick Donahue was injured in the days after the marathon during the capture of Johar Tsarnaev on April 11, 2015. Donahue gave blood for the first time.
Anything I can do to support the Red Cross, support Mount Auburn Hospital, and the community and the residents of Watertown, it just means so much to me. It's deeply personal.
No one understands the importance of giving blood more than Heather Abbott and transit officer Dick Donahue, both of whom were affected by what transpired at the 2013 Boston Marathon in the days that followed. Officer Donahue was shot nearly to death during the shootout and capture of Johar Tsarnaev in Watertown, while Heather Abbott lost part of her leg at the bombing. Both were in Watertown at the Red Cross's Watertown Strong blood drive, giving back what saved their lives.
I lost a lot of blood, and if people didn't get blood, I wouldn't be here to talk about it now. So it's taken on a new meaning for me.
2 years later, there's been so much positive things that have come out of this for me, for my family, and for our community. It's a great feeling.
To see him actually fully recovered to the point where he can actually come back and donate blood himself is it's going to be emotional today to watch him actually donating blood for the first time.
I'm really happy the way everything turned out. Last year this time we were close, and then this year, it means as much this year as it would have last year, and I'm very happy that this parade and that we can finally move beyond the issue of inclusiveness.
For the first time in 22 years, Boston's mayor and governor marched in the St. Patrick's Day parade through the streets of South Boston because now, for the first time in the parade's 114-year history, gay veterans and activists were openly allowed to march.
I think it's a terrific development, and that's why we're here, and we're thrilled to have the opportunity and the honor to march in this parade.
In 1995, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled parade organizers had a constitutional right to exclude gay groups from participating. But on Sunday, members of Out Vets, a group of gay military veterans, and Boston Pride made history by marching in the 2015 parade. Some groups, including the Knights of Columbus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary School, dropped out of the parade in response to the decision to let LGBT groups in. But as years pass, Mayor Marty Walsh is optimistic about the future inclusion of gay groups in the parade.
Today, looking back on this, people are going to wonder why do we have the discussion on it. It reminds me back when in the legislature when we had the vote around gay marriage, and there was a lot of emotion and a lot of feeling. And today you have that same conversation, that emotion, that feeling's not there anymore, and it's kind of moving on to a new chapter of Boston's history.
Did you vote?
I did not.
No, I didn't. I did.
And that's about the percentage of how many students and young voters reached the polls this past election day. Less than half of the young vote showed up, drastically impacting the historically tight race between Democratic candidate Martha Coakley and now Governor-elect Republican Charlie Baker in their final dash to Beacon Hill. And to get more information as to why young voters were missing from the polls, I went to talk to Suffolk University's Director of Political Research, David Paleologus, about this year's election.
Lower young participation, lower minority participation, and that hurt nationally. It hurt the Democrats nationally. The lack of enthusiasm, the unusual amount of negative advertising just turned students off, turned young people off, and it hurt.
This is Suffolk News reporter Tyler Sullivan. Boston police take a suspect into custody in a late Tuesday afternoon stabbing in the Boston Common. The man is 34-year-old Bodio Hutchinson, a homeless man already with a warrant out for his arrest for assaulting a police officer.
At this time, we're just continuing the investigation.
Jackson Marchand was walking through the common and saw one of the victims.
He was stabbed right in the central stomach, and it was bloody, just bleeding. His whole torso was just covered in red. He was holding himself like praying. It was pretty gruesome.
The two stabbing victims are both park rangers. One was rushed to Mass General Hospital with life-threatening injuries, while the other is at Tufts Medical Center with less serious injuries. The Common is really the heart of Suffolk University's campus. School police sent text and email alerts to students, staff, and faculty around 5:30 Tuesday afternoon, asking all to stay away from the crime area until further notice. Emerson College also has buildings right on the Common. Nicholas Rusk is a student there.
Over at the frog pond, and this guy comes running down. The police were yelling at him to stop, He stops. He tells them to shoot him. They don't. They just tackle him to the ground.
Boston Police Commissioner William Evans says both rangers were awake and talking to doctors at the hospital. We will update this story at our online site as police continue to investigate the crime scene. Tyler Sullivan, Suffolk U News. The NCAA is changing their baseballs for the 2015 season from Division I down to Suffolk University's D3 program. The league is dropping the seams down from .048 inches to .031, a seemingly small drop, but with the intent to have a big jump in offensive numbers. The changeup in the game has the biggest effect on pitchers, who will have to adjust their game to the new style baseball.
So far I've used them here and it's not that big of a difference for me, but I know my curveball hasn't been as sharp as it usually is.
When you throw in a curveball, you want to get good forward rotation, good pressure on the seams, so with lower seams it might be harder to do that.
College baseball removed some of the offense from the game when the NCAA changed bats for the 2011 season. Last year the league had the lowest batting average since 1970, and home runs dried up to an all-time low.
Well, they're hoping it'll help improve the offense a little bit. There'll be less drag with the ball coming off the bat, and hopefully the ball will travel a little bit further.
With the lowered seams, research projects the ball to travel up to 20 feet farther in the air, putting a little more into a game that has seen a decrease in attendance at both the college and major league level.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely try to adopt something like that if it does pan out in the positive aspects.
With a positive result, more changes like a pitch clock similar to what you see in basketball could be on deck for baseball in the coming years. Tyler Sullivan, Suffolk U News. The Suffolk University men's basketball team has added a new member to its squad, signing 7-year-old Luke Giafrida to be the newest hoop star on campus. What he may lack in age, height, and experience, he makes up for and then some with a big heart and love for the game of basketball.
He has been watching basketball since he was a little tiny baby with my husband on the couch and just always said he wanted to be on a team. And so when this opportunity came up, we were thrilled.
Luke suffers from cystic fibrosis, a rare and life-threatening disorder that damages the lungs and digestive system in his body, effectively preventing him from ever playing sports. However, through Team Impact, an organization that matches sick children with local college teams, Luke was able to connect with Suffolk University and find that team he's always wanted and sometimes needed to make even the darkest days a little more bright.
When he spends days at Children's Hospital in the CF clinic, he has something really positive to look forward to. He has all these guys to look up to, and as you can see right now, he's shooting around with them, and he is completely happy.
The Suffolk Rams basketball team doesn't just help out Luke. He gives them motivation to go out on the court with a little bit more incentive, knowing they are not just playing for themselves, but also their new teammate.
It's more than just a game. It's more than just trying to make the playoffs. It's more than being a team. It's playing for him. It's playing for someone. Luke's a great kid, so I'm glad that I'm playing for him.
Earlier in the day, Luke was getting treated at Children's Hospital, but told his mom and doctors he was on a tight schedule, saying my team was waiting for me at 5 o'clock. His team. Tyler Sullivan, Suffolk U News. And Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski shaved his head over the weekend, but no, it wasn't a Vegas Johnny Football Dare or anything like that. It was for charity. The football star took part in the One Mission Kids Cancer Buzz-Off at Gillette Stadium to help raise money to fight pediatric cancer. And when it's time for him to jump into the barber's chair, it was Mama Gronk giving her son a new do. With the before look, Gronk talks about what it means to help out. And in Game 1, it was LeBron and the Cramps felt around the world. And it didn't matter if you were Gatorade's Twitter handle or the average Joe on the street. That's all anyone wanted to talk about after the Heat's Game 1 loss to San Antonio. So now it's Game 2. Miami finds themselves down a game, but that's something they're comfortable with. They are 5-0 in a series where they've lost the first game in 46 playoff games. That's how long it's been since the fellows from South Beach suffered consecutive losses.
So let's get right to it. Game 2, Heat, Spurs. LeBron James looking to rebound from his cramp-filled Game 1. And then Mr. Fundamental, Timmy Duncan, trying to rebound right here off Marco Bellinelli's miss. The big fella turning back the hands at time with the putback. Duncan ties Magic Johnson with postseason double-doubles. And LeBron James made his money inside all game, going inside around Kawhi Leonard, getting the alley-oop there for Mario Chalmers, and then ripping down the offensive board right here and putting it right back. LeBron 1 for 4 in the first quarter, 4 for 5 in the second, only looking to increase that as they go on to the third. Heat down 6. LeBron wide open 3, cuts it right in half. And then Boris Diaw just a minute later, right over him to put the game right down to 1. And with that Boris Diaw defense, LeBron's feeling it. Green light, putting the Heat up by 2. LeBron 8 straight points, 14 points in the quarter. And in the fourth quarter, different guy on him, same result. LeBron up, in, giving the Heat 2-point lead. No cramps on this day for King James. 2:30 to go. Ginobili, Spurs, and Parker need 2 to tie. They want 3. 93-92, 90 seconds to go. LeBron sees Bosh in the corner. And that's your ball game. 98-96 the final. In the first quarter, Rajon Rondo blows by Kyrie Irving, gives the Celtics the early 8-7 advantage. LeBron James posting up. Jeff Green goes up, under. Smooth as silk. LeBron James, 41 points on the night, 7 assists. Game winding down. Celtics down 1. They give it to their captain. It's a max moment. Wants to make some max money, but just couldn't get the shot off. Celtics lose this one 122-121. It's a tradition to honor our forefathers on President's Day, but this year Mother Nature had a different plan in store for students. For the first time ever, Suffolk University held classes on the federal holiday, thanks to the snow days that affected Monday classes throughout the semester. Marathon Monday changed forever 2 years ago. The bombing stunned the city, but it didn't stop it or the race.
Ironically, the 2015 marathon comes on the heels of 30 guilty verdicts for the surviving Tsarnaev brother.
Convicted of bombing and murder charges, a jury is now determining if he will be put to death or serve life in prison. Mayor Marty Walsh and the Boston Teacher Union plan on integrating extended learning time throughout 22 different middle and elementary schools in the Boston area. High school students will not be affected. She will be leaving her role as an Associate Dean at Villanova University to join Suffolk University on July 1st. Mayor Marty Walsh is asking adults in the city to give back with Mayor's Mentoring Movement. The city is joining with Mass Mentoring Partnership to recruit more than 1,000 new mentors in Boston over the next 2 years. The initiative will connect caring adult volunteers with young people, aiming to create powerful relationships and success through positivity. At least 10% of the mentors will be City of Boston employees. Mayor Walsh is encouraging individuals and businesses to get involved. And as a commuter student, it's not a bad deal. If you're running late for class, you need to get into the city and want to avoid the T, just find a spot that's close to your school and you're good to go.
I paid $18 for 90 minutes yesterday. So you're saying I can find something for like $10 in the right spot?
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, Brian, from orientation leaders to seniors like myself, know that the first 3 weeks of freshman year are critical for students because that's when you pick up most of your habits. So my one advice or a couple of advice would be to reduce the stress levels, get enough sleep, and with that pizza that you're going to order at least once, twice, maybe even 4 times, is to have a banana or an apple with that as well.
Well, and Tyler warned the freshmen.
Along with some Roman Catholic groups dropping out of the parade, the Catholic Action Group says it wants the name St. Patrick completely dropped from the parade. The Boston Athletic Association is urging spectators not to bring any coolers, backpacks, or props to the race. So if you're going to the Red Sox game, guys, I wouldn't really bring any gloves, bats, or any baseballs, just to be safe.
And when does the game start and when does it finish?
Starts at 11 a.m. They usually last around 3.5 hours-ish, so maybe like 2:30 they'll head down to Boylston.
This course opens on October 20th. It's free and open to the public. You just go on historyofboston.org. I, for one, am not the biggest history guy. I'm just really not that good at it, but this course is fun. You get to do scavenger hunts, some games. It's a good time.
What was the favorite thing you learned or something you didn't know before you did the story?
I didn't know that the Boston Cream Donut was actually made in the Omni Parker Hotel.
Really?
Yeah, the first one.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, there you go.
Tyler, great job. It was a really good piece.